Alright, so good evening guys. Welcome to the Pro Gaming Series 2016 Summer Split. We are now on our playoffs day 2, and this is brought to you by our official sponsor, Bacchus Energy Drink. I'm Masterai, and of course alongside here with me is
Amplifier.
Yeah, and we're gonna witness a best of 3 series between Empire X versus Smart Mineski.
Yeah, so this is a really big game. FYI sa mga viewers natin dyan, ito na po yung game right before we find out who will fight IPT at Rampage 2016. This is a huge honor, and this is going to be dalawang possibility ito. Either it's Empire X having their very first time to enter, the finals of PGS, or it's gonna be a repeat of Rampage 2015, where we have Mineski against IPT once again, giving IPT the chance to, get the revenge on Mineski. It's a really huge game, and actually, we're already in the drafting phase, so we'll just get right onto it.
So we start off as these teams, for the side here of Mineski, alright, where we're transitioning, banning out the LeBlanc, Kindred, and Zac, and for the side of Empire X, a Fizz, Graves, and Victor.
Yeah, so looking at these bans now, I mean, first of all, FYI to our players again, we have 2 of the solo queue kings here in our game right now. On Mineski's side, si James, number 1 yan FYI sa challenger natin, on the challenger ladder, and then Tamsu is number 2. And they're both junglers, so we have huge solo queue kings fighting it out right now on the jungler side, and a lot of the bans are on them. No? So for the side of Mineski, they just banned Kindred and Zac onto Tamsu, and we know definitely very comfortable on those picks. So there, we are now in the pick and ban phase. So LeBlanc is definitely a target ban onto Calculated. Sobrang comfortable na yan sa champion, and we saw it yesterday actually when he really went off on that LeBlanc along with Tamsu. So huge target ban there. And then Fizz, Graves, and Victor. So Graves definitely a target ban onto James. It's his most played jungler right now in the PGS. And then Fizz being targeted onto TG and possibly EXO as well, but mostly onto TG. And then Victor definitely a favorite of EXO in the PGS so far.
Yeah, so for the picks, again, we do have the Ashe here. For Zensho, James getting that Elise, and then a Bard. Possibly gonna go into next. And just a slight insight, guys. Nakita nyo, nagbina na onti support ngayon ng Mineski. Before it was, I believe, Noel.
Yeah.
And now it will be Nexta here, the new addition.
Yeah, you can see his face right now on the screen. So he is gonna be one of the supports of Mineski.
Yeah,
so
I believe Nexta before was with MC, Majestic Casual.
And he's also with Naga before.
Naga before as well.
Yeah. So yeah, again, that's going to be Ashe locked in, and then AEX respond with the Karma and then MF. They also played these guys yesterday, so it's definitely a favorite of Gen V, going away from his usual Vayne and Twitch na staple. No? And then that's going to be Mineski responding with Elise and Bard. So Bard actually was a pick that Deep, we were talking about earlier, it's one of the champs that he does play along with other mages like Nami, Soraka, and then Elise, another favorite of James. And I actually don't really see why Mineski put such a high priority on Ashe, since Gen V doesn't really play utility-oriented AD carries. Like, from what we know, Gen V does usually play like Twitch and Vayne, etc. But then again, Mineski might have seen him practicing that Ashe, and I guess, Mineski really want to secure this Ashe for a certain strategy.
For me, I feel like Zensho, I've seen the picks. He does like to have an Ashe in his pool of ADC champions. So this could be. Plus yung transition din eh. Like, there's so many like AoE pickoffs dito na meron ng Mineski. You do have the Ashe Crystalline Arrow, then you have the Temper Fate of the Bard. That actually sets up really nicely with the Cassiopeia.
That's very true. So much engaged right now, actually. You're right, on the side of Mineski. And then for AEX, they respond with the Ari and the Kha'Zix. So Kha'Zix is definitely, like we were saying earlier, he's definitely seeing play. Pati sa mga ibang region, nilalaro na rin siya. Although the success rate is not exactly high, he is viable. So I'm excited to see, Empire X with Tamsu, syempre being the top 2, on the challenger ladder. I definitely am looking forward to seeing him on this champion. And then Calculated, very comfortable on Ari. She was a target ban, yesterday when they were fighting G-Hub. And then Karma, Illaoi this time for Canon against the Shen of TG. So this will be very interesting picks right now. Although Shen is usually something that Canon likes to take. Maybe TG was thinking of taking that away from Canon, but Canon responds. Canon just brings out all these really interesting picks. Like kahapon, di natin na-expect may Swain pala siyang dala. And then he even played Kayle at some point in the top lane. So he really likes to go for these other champions. And Illaoi is a pretty popular pick.
Basically, like
PGS.
top lane bruisers who can have impact in clashes.
Yeah, that's very true. So we're looking at the team compositions now. So on the side of MSKI, like we said, a lot of really nice engage. You have the Ashe there to engage the Bard to set things up for the possible, AoE damage to set things up for Cassiopeia mainly. So a lot of, and this is going to be the first time we're seeing EXO on Cassiopeia in the PGS.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so this will be interesting to see him expanding his pool from more than just Victor, more than Cillian. We know now that he's definitely playing a lot more mid lane champions coming in from AD carry na dating role niya. Definitely mas malaki yung champion pool niya ngayon with
also,
mid lane.
Naisip ko lang din pala, it was the miasma of the Cassiopeia that hinders yung mobility skills, right? Does it also affect yung leap of faith ng Illaoi?
I have a feeling it might not. But
it's
then
a movement
again,
skill, eh.
Yeah, it is. Because from what I know, it's mostly dashing and flashing that are prevented when you're in the miasma.
And aren't leaps also considered as dashes?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So
like, I wonder how it's coded.
If that is the case, that would actually hinder Ahri, Illaoi, and Kha'Zix, yeah. So that's only 3 champions that this Cassiopeia has a really high impact on.
Yeah, and they probably didn't even see that coming, but it might just happen. I'm excited to see in game.
I want to see for sure.
But definitely, MSKI has so many globals. Actually, I just noticed they even have Shen with the global ult. So a lot of skirmishing potential, especially since James is on Elise. So napakalakas ng early game pressure. Of course, we all know that from Elise. And James being the #1 challenger on solo queue, he can definitely deliver on that jungler. I'm excited to see how they're going to use these globals and early game pressure, and global pressure to really try and shut down Empire X. Because when you look at Empire X's comp, there's a huge mid-game explosion on them. Illaoi is gonna eventually get, when she gets that Black Cleaver and Misfortune gets her 1 or 2 items going, literally all of them, will really get going. The only issue I see with Empire X is that there's so much damage, but they don't really have anyone to set things up. There's no lockdown. So baka magka-problema sila kasi we all know how slippery Cassiopeia is, being the snake that she is. And if there's no one to lock her down, she'll freely move around the map and just, one by one take out champions like Misfortune, like Kha'Zix. If they can't respond and lock her down immediately, it's going to be quite difficult for Empire X.
Yeah, but then I guess that's the reason why they got the Karma support. Aside from her having really good poke and CC, it's just that, or like zoning potential pala, is that her movement speed boost can actually help out Ahri, Illaoi, and this Kha'Zix do what you're fearing that AEX might not be able to do.
That's true. So definitely there's a lot of pick potential then actually on the side of AEX. If Kha'Zix can visit the lanes, there's a potential for a charm, and the speed boost might be able to help them to get into the faces of MSKI.
Exactly.
I'm just a bit afraid about 5v5 fights since again there's no lockdown. But if Empire X, they actually have pretty good response engages too. So maybe engage won't be a problem if they are able to bait, MSKI into coming to them, and then you just blow that huge bullet time, you get that AoE shield, and then have Illaoi just explode with her leap of faith.
Yeah, ito na iniisip ko, like, there is like 2 ultimates for the side of Empire X that needs setup. That is the leap of faith and the Misfortune bullet time.
Yeah.
And there's actually, lots of pickoffs na meron dito ang MSKI, and those pickoffs are actually disruptions din. Pag nag-channel na ng ultimate dito sa Misfortune, 1 Ashe out of the face actually might, destroy the positioning that AEX want to do for themselves, and then that's just like one person being picked off right off the bat.
Yeah, that's true. So
diba?
That means MSKI has to be, kailangan mag-isip talaga sila kung paano nila gagamitin yung CC. They have to be able to use it to interrupt. If ever Kha'Zix comes in, you definitely have to save maybe a Bard Q, or for example your Bard ult to save any of your teammates. Maybe you have to save that Ashe arrow not to engage, but maybe to stop the ult of Misfortune, for example. So a lot of intricate things, and alam natin na sobrang intense talaga ng mga laban na to, because again, we want to remind you guys that this is actually the very last game before we enter Rampage 2016 on July 23. Who will face Imperium Pro Team in the finals? Today we will find out if it's going to be MSKI, our longtime veterans, or yung Empire X ba na first time nilang makapasok sa playoffs in their 3 splits that they've been here. They're going to be representing, their hometown for the very first time at the finals, if ever. So really exciting stuff. And bago pa yung roster ng MSKI, they only changed in the recent months. Dati, nandiyan pa si Colette and everything, but now, EXO takes mid lane. Zensho, who used to be part of War Gods, enters as the AD carry. It's a new chapter for both these teams, and what a great first chapter it would be if they enter Rampage on July 23.
True. We would also like to remind you na meron tayong support and win. Can you actually explain kasi medyo, like, you have to use a cover photo.
Yeah. So basically, yung gagawin nyo lang, guys, if there's a team that you support and you want to get a chance to win Infernal Diana, FY, this is Infernal Diana, we're gonna pick 10 winners. All you have to do, punta lang kayo sa Rampage 2016 website. Just search it up on Google, Rampage 2016. Punta kayo sa main website. There's a tab on the left that will say PGS Finals. And then go to the bottom, may makikita kayo dun. Actually, this is actually for the vote pala. But at the same time, you'll find on the Pro Gaming Series Facebook page, you can actually download cover photos of either Empire X or MSKI. Type, and then once you have that cover photo, use it on your profile and share it into public with the hashtags PGS Playoffs, or and hashtag Team Win. So for example, kung yung cover photo nyo, Empire X, gawin yung cover photo nyo, and then share it publicly with the hashtag PGS Playoffs and hashtag AEX Win. And then so if your prediction is correct, then eventually we're going to pick 10 winners from the entire pool of correct predictions to get Infernal Diana.
Yes. And also we do have yung voting system natin ngayon. So
yes.
Yung I believe All-Stars for Rampage.
Yeah, the All-Stars for Rampage. So basically, kayo yung pipili kung sino yung gusto makita sa All-Star match natin sa Rampage. All you have to do, again, go to the Rampage 2016 website. There will be PGS Finals tab. Go to the bottom. You will enter a Google form. Tapos every team, all you have to do is vote for the member that you want to see at Rampage for the All-Star match. And then once all of the votes have come in, we'll see, you guys will eventually find out which of the members of every team will go over to the Rampage 2016 All-Star match.
Yeah, and whoever gets the top 2 votes will be the captains, and then they will draft na lang kung sino gusto nilang teammates.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so welcome to the Summer's Rift, guys. Look at that transition. Yeah. We are now on to our day 2 in the Pro Gaming Series playoffs. So let's start off with our roll call. For the blue side, we have Smart Neski. In the top lane, it's going to be TG with the Shen. James will be our Elise. In the mid lane, it's going to be Exo on the Cassiopeia. And in the bottom lane duo, we have Zensha for the Ashir. And his support will be Nixta on the Bard.
Yeah, just a sec. There seems to be some early action here. MSKI invading already. On the blue side of Empire X. They're all here, but they've all been spotted out as well.
Well, they do know that the weakness of the Kazakhs here is those early game harassments. Early game harassments wherein, well, he doesn't have the best of wave clears, so just one tap maybe from an opposing champion will actually hinder him already from possibly continuing into another camp.
Yeah, that's true, and they've actually warded this side right here. So they're trying to scout if there will be any lane swaps that are gonna come.
Yeah,
that are gonna happen.
Actually, sorry. Let's check out the. Oh, so it's going to be the water element.
Water element.
Ocean Drake. Yeah, I think this is like a trend now, or not actually a trend, like a shift in the meta, wherein before you actually staple yourself in the bottom lane because of the control for the dragon. But then if it's like the lesser dragons, let's say for example,
like the clown dragon.
Yeah, in the
cloud drake.
Yeah, from Atlas, like he called it the clown dragon because like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
For you would definitely want the mountain drake or the infernal drake.
Whoop! We're actually seeing a lane swap happen right now. So that's going to be MSKI flying to the top side. You're gonna see the Bard. He's actually gonna be warding up on the red side.
So it looks like MSKI here are fearing the Shen and Illaoi matchup. I don't think that they are comfortable with TG actually going up against Canon on the Illaoi just because of how strong, an Undying Grass. Oh, good damage.
Yeah, it could be the Shen Illaoi, but it could also be the Ashen Bard versus MFN Karma. Kasi we have to keep in mind, actually malakas yung early game ng MFN Karma. They have really nice poke, of course, with the double up as well as the Q from Karma. It could actually be quite punishing. And Bard, he does have sustain from his W, pero hindi ganun kalakas yung sustain niya as compared to others like Soraka, for example, or to Nami.
Yeah,
say, for example.
I was actually thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
and
so maybe that's why they're dodging it.
Cannon is teleported to the bottom lane, level 1 though, so they're gonna at least.
They're trying to even out the rotation.
Even out the rotations, but then they're sacrificing a little bit of the XP gain here for Gen V, Cannon, and Sunzi. But at least this will probably, even out the goal that Cannon is losing in the top lane.
Kasi ginagawa nila, they're trying to match the tempo because MSKI was the one who initiated the lane swap. So that is a TP going to be burned. It will even take Cannon a long time to get to his lane. But
the chase here onto Karklane. There's the miasma. There's the Ignite actually hitting onto Exo, but Exo very greedy, actually getting hit by the Ignite as well as the heal being actually 50% reduced. But look at James. Double kill for him. Steals away the blue buff and the red buff from Tamzu, as well as that 2-0. But the first blood going to the hands of Tamzu though.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting clash. Kasi kung isipin natin, Ari and Kha'Zix versus Elise and Cassiopeia, it's actually kind of hard to tell who's going to win there because Kha'Zix is a bit weak during the early game, but so is Cassiopeia. She's not very strong during the early game. So it did go over to MSKI though, because that is going to be a double kill for James, and she might be much, more courageous to invade Tamsu's jungle now because she does get that early lead. We'll see. Tamsu has to be quite careful considering they did give James a double kill.
Oh, look at this. Genvi, very out of position. This is no man's land. Even if this is a part of his base, there's the on-attack, but will force a flash out of Genvi, and he will be able to at least survive for another day. But still, the aggression here from MSKI is paying dividend for themselves. At least forcing out a summoner spell plus the top tier 1. But AEX got that bot tier 1 initially, and way faster than MSKI got that top tier.
Yeah, actually that's true, because Canon TP to bot lane, they were actually ahead in taking down the bot turret, and so, Canon was able to start his laning phase earlier, and this is causing TG to be behind in CS. It's 8-21. He wasn't able to bounce the wave back because Empire X are now there, and there's another gank.
Okay, so pretty fast. Yeah, I think it was just one charm, and then, there's not really mobility for EXO to use, especially when he actually flashed in to try to get the kill and then healed to save himself early on.
Yeah, you see, that's the problem. Like, especially since this Cassiopeia doesn't have any cleanse. I mean, I wouldn't have taken it probably because the only thing you have to worry about is a charm. But again, without the cleanse and only the heal, once you get charmed, that's huge damage, especially if Elise is not there and the target is isolated. Kha'Zix will tend to deal a lot of damage with this Q. So,
yeah,
very deadly ganks, and James really has to keep Cassiopeia safe.
And, well, he probably can, but we'll have to see as James, after that, that reactive gank to mid lane, has kind of just retreated into his own base, even though he actually should have the pressure because he got the double buff.
Yeah, that's true. This lane swap was actually something Neep was telling us about already earlier, that MSKI does like pulling off this lane swap, and it used to be something of a weakness for them. And they did actually fall behind just now with this 9-24 CS difference between TG and Canon. But they have been favoring this lane swap recently. I guess the execution this game was just a bit weird because they probably didn't expect Canon to TP directly to the tower earlier. It did cause a CS difference.
Yeah.
Right now, Kha'Zix.
Where actually is TG? I mean, I haven't seen him all throughout this game.
He is there, trying to even out the tempo. PG is here, down at the bot side. And in terms of tower health, this one's very low right now. And yeah, it would be pretty much the same pace that they're going to take out the turrets. Yun lang. The behind nga si TG sa CS now is 9-26. It looks like they're going to have the wave bounce back so that Canon can get the turret. But at the same time, MSKI is going to get this dragon. So that's going to be a turret plus a dragon for MSKI.
Yeah, so MSKI getting the better of that in terms of the overall objectives, but the problem now is that they're actually leaving TG to dry out. Like, he has no income whatsoever. Yes, he's getting the towers, but then at the same time, his counterpart, Canon, is getting the same team plus CS.
Yeah, that's true. Although, when we look at the wave build-up, Canon wasn't able to reset the wave, I think.
I think it didn't. It didn't actually bounce back.
Yeah, it didn't. So it's gonna freeze there. And that might give TG a bit of help so he can CS closer to his base.
Yeah, but TG here is very afraid. If you actually check out how MSKI has been setting up their wards for the meantime, there really isn't any for TG. So he's level 3. He knows that calculated is 6. Tamzu is 6. They have already got their ultimates and a ton of damage to work with.
Yeah, that's true.
So even if TG is a tank Shen, he's not on that tank level yet. And without these support wards from MSKI, he's playing in blind in the top lane, aside from this pink ward in this Tribrush.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see if Elise will be able to put in any ganks to help. Although EXO actually okay naman siya. He's even in CS. It's just that there's been a trade actually in CS. Kung sa top lane nakakalamang si Canon, si Gen V is actually the one behind now in terms of CS against Zenshu, who's at 66. Meanwhile,
Oh.
Genvi's at 49. There's
The pings have been
Tamzu
set.
and
Is
PG.
there- Okay.
Yep, he saw it. There's a vision. There's some vision there. And EXO was gonna help out, I think, but he is gonna back out because they knew he was spotted out. Tamzu.
If you get a bit too
Still
greedy,
there.
you're gonna get punished there, Tamzu.
Yeah. Nope. He didn't see the board. Okay.
He saw it, he saw it, he saw it.
Okay, okay. Just making sure. Zensho just farming and trying to freeze his wave down here at bot. Meanwhile, Genvi not in lane at all. So I guess Empire X was a bit caught off guard by the lane swap. And so they weren't able to set up the waves properly. Now Genvi's in an awkward situation where he has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Because the waves are...
Ultimate being used by EXO, but here comes the bullet time. Nice! A tether there coming out of Nixta, but EXO very low in HP, forcing himself to flash away. But they did get the catch onto Calculated, and that was a big fish that they got themselves for the mid lane. AEX a little bit too aggressive in that one. They lose one person and the ultimate there of Genvi.
Man, look at the CC lockdown coming in from... I think the Miasma was a huge help there onto Calculated. He did not use his ult, I think. Or
He did. It's on cooldown. But the problem is, he wasn't able to dash over it, and James going in. Look at that winner, Cocoon, follow up by the taunt here of PG, and Cannon trying to re-engage. He actually slaps away, trying to get the last hit onto Nixta, but Nixta was executed by that turret. Now they're trying to run away from this Ilawi, but no damage yet for Cannon as he only has that Mercury Treads in his pocket. Tamzu is here though, so they might be a little bit more respective of the defense here that AEX are setting up for themselves, but still, MSKI got so many kills out of that one.
Yeah, 6-2 now, and they actually have a pretty nice goal lead, 2,000 at 10 minutes into the game. So things are looking much better for them, especially with the help of that lane swap. They were able to get 91 CS as compared to 57 on Genvi right now. So that's pretty bad because, you know, one of the things that Empire X wants is for Genvi, you know, to at least be even with Ashe so that she can match Ashe when it comes to those mid-game fights. But when being behind by this much CS, you know, she's on that call. It is racking up. But again, she's behind by CS. And, you know, if around 15 CS is what it takes to get a kill, technically, you know, Ashe has like 2 to 3 kills on her right now.
Yeah, and if you think about it, this is what we were talking about way before, like in the ban and pick phase.
Yeah.
That MSKI's composition is so... There's so much pick-off for them from the Tempered Fate, from the Crystalline Arrow here of the Ashe, and then the follow-up Cocoon plus Taunt of the Shen.
Yeah. The tower dive potential is very scary.
Yeah,
actually.
AEX have no way to actually counter out because kung ginawa to ng MSKI, there's the follow-up miasma for EXO that just adds up to the pick-off under turret na hindi maka-dash over dito pag wala silang flash.
Yeah, exactly.
Or actually, na-apekto din ba ng miasma ang flash?
Miasma.
Hindi, di ba? Hindi.
It does, I think. You can't flash if you're in the miasma.
So that means that you can't get away when they try to go in for the pickoffs.
Once that lands, like if the dream engage is at least will Cocoon or the Ashe ult comes in.
Oh, and Tamzu is getting caught out here. Look at the CC chain here, and he did not even have the chance to leap away. MSKI is just having fun right now against AEX, but they saw that EXO uses ultimate, and now they force out the standing ID here from Shen. They re-engage, get the catch on the Genvi, solo in HP, and TG gets the kill on that one. There's the leap of faith. Look at the Tentacle smashing in here onto MSKI, but not enough damage. There's the Tempered Fate, and look at these. Just pick-offs from MSKI one by one. They don't have enough damage to follow up though. But look at that. They got a 2-0 against Empire X, and MSKI are standing a little bit comfortably with a 9-2 lead in terms of the kills. 21,000 to the 17 of AEX.
Yeah, like MSKI's getting everything they want for every champion that's on their side. You have a 4-0-5 on Elise, you have 3-2-5 on your Cassiopeia, and the Ashe is on is in a great place in terms of CS. She's 96 versus the 77 of Genvi. If we take a look at this replay, honestly, this is what MSKI just has to do for the team. It's just creating really early picks, making great use of that Ashe ult, spread around the vision because James has such a big lead that he can just walk in to the jungle of Empire X unafraid to set down this early vision, and that's really making opportunities for MSKI. You put down the early vision, throw that Ashe ult, throw in the Bard ult, and just catch everyone off guard. And there's not much Empire X can do to answer. Cannon is really not up to par with damage and tankiness. He doesn't have the Black Cleaver, so his ults are not dealing that much damage. calculated, you know, he doesn't even have a full item yet. And, well, we can see Gen VCS right now. He doesn't have a full item yet either.
And the really weird thing about there from AEX is that he actually tried to re-engage when Calculated used his Spirit Rush in.
Yeah, he actually tried to get in, and I mean, I can't blame him because he did have a full cooldowns at the time, and maybe he would have gotten a pick off. But you see, the problem is that when we saw that team fight, it was all the CC from MSKI that was landing them the kills. Empire X has no way to respond when they have those choke fight points, because when MSKI start the fight, ideally what Empire X wants is to fight back like they are now, one by one. You know, get your targets in one by one. But when it comes to those 5v5s, it becomes very difficult to lock anyone down. Except if it's like that. I mean, if it's kung ganun lang na habulan lang.
It wasn't the great escape though, but it took some time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yun kasi yung specialty nga ng Empire X. It's being able to chase them down. You have the speed boost from Karma. So, basta lagay mo yung speed boost kay Kha'Zix, isa-isahin yung papatayin yung members ng MSKI. But MSKI, when they land the CC, you know, there's very little disengage coming in from Empire X to have an answer once all of their carries are locked down. It was a great job from James and Zensho to coordinate with the vision. Nalagay nila yung vision in advance. All it takes is that Ashel. Yeah. And you know, you're set up pretty much.
It just feels here that Empire X's composition is more of like, if they get the itemizations that they can, they will win out brute force against MSKI.
Yeah.
But the problem now is that they don't have the damage to back it off, so they really have to respect all of these, you know, follow-up crowd controls that MSKI, like you said, are able to dish out. There's the ultimate hitting onto Gen V, following it up. Temper Fate onto the tower here, but it does stop James in his tracks. There's a tether here from Sunzi, but it will not put in place James. Here's the whole member of AEX as well as MSKI, really fast standing out here from PG. Gonna make this a possible 5v5 situation in the bottom lane as they try to siege in this bot tier 2. But they still have the fear! That ultimate from EXO just getting a catch onto Empire X here, and they are just falling down like dominoes. Look at the collapse here from MSKI. They get themselves EXO and Zensho, but who cares? That was a 4 for 2, and Calculated cannot, and I mean cannot, defend this bottom tier 2 as MSKI will at least push it out with this next following wave. That was such a fast pickup there. What a flash from EXO.
Yeah, actually, I was a bit afraid kasi nung una, sobrang awkward ng engage ni James because he flashes in, he puts down the cocoon, and then Nixta ults him. I don't think James wanted to get ult at that point because he wanted to follow up the damage. But then EXO does this savior flash ult. I don't even know how many people he was able to stun with. Probably
four. I think four.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people. Yeah. And then, you know, MSKI just jumps in and, you know, takes everyone down. And yeah, let's take a look at the replay.
Let's see how many.
So he flashes in. And they were all... Okay, so he gets like 3.
3, okay.
He locks in 3, but that's not what matters anyway because Shen comes in with a taunt and the rest of the members just follow up, and that's really what matters. So EXO dying, he got a double kill and they killed 4 members in total, so it's totally worth it. They were able to get a third, and now it's 4-2 in the third score, and it's a really nice, around almost 5k gold lead for MSKI. Keep in mind, 16 minutes pa lang po ang game na to. And there's already like a 5k gold lead. So they're really playing well, you know, to the strengths of MSKI. Their team composition, you know, just making the picks, tower diving, and forcing Empire X to react when they're not ready. Yeah. Because really, looking at the items, Empire X is not ready for all that tower diving and damage.
Definitely, but Empire X, feel ko talaga, they kind of felt safe under their own turret, but again, kahit sinabi mo na kanina, because of how well EXO did it, and kasi there's so many CC tools here for MSKI na kahit mo magkamali ng kahit isa, if they have a good follow-up, they can still salvage and get actually a better deal out of it. And they did. 3 kills, 3-man stun from the ultimate there of EXO, and then follow-up kills plus the turret down. That's so good already for MSKI, and they're stacking up with a 6,000 gold lead. Like you said, parang 60 minutes in pa lang tayo ngayon, 17 minutes, just like 1 minute past lang, but you know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Basically, it's a huge lead so early, and that's exactly what they want to do. They want to snowball and force the fights.
Oh wow, that was actually pretty cool. Solid interaction. No, when the Test of Spirit actually hit James, he actually left, and the Test of Spirit line actually followed him on top.
Ah, I see. Interesting.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more interactions between... At dami kasing hero, parang nakakalito yung mga interaction between them in terms of mechanics, and it's really interesting to see. Right now, that's TG split pushing. Classic TG that we know and love. He's been
Of
pushing at a
course.
different lane, which
Not
is
not a Poppy, but still a tank naman.
and it's exactly what he wants to do because no one can 1v1 him after Sunfire Cape. Like, Cannon can probably kind of sustain, but without the Black Cleaver, he's on very defensive items right now.
Yeah.
Maybe once he gets that Black Cleaver, he can go 1v1 against TG.
He doesn't even have his Black Cleaver and Death's Dance. I think those are like the 2 core items right now for Ilawi.
Yeah, so we'll see how Empire X responds. Honestly, looking at the team comp, I kind of would have wanted them to...
Oh, one-man Tempered Fate there on the Gen B. Will they follow up? Ultimate actually connects on the Sun Z here, and he will not survive that one. That was a 2-man taunt from TG, but this ultimate from Gen B is actually pushing away MSKI. MSKI not knowing what hit them from the bullet time, but here comes the ultimate from TG. Will the slap be enough? He's so low, still gets the kill onto Gen B, and there's a dash taunt from TG. That's gonna be a 2-for-3 trade, but still, AEX there were kind of well on how they set up against MSKI, and they got the catch onto TG there, making it a 3-4-3. And
I don't think that was worth it.
Yeah, it was very aggressive.
Yeah, the trade was really aggressive, and the wave wasn't exactly built up, I think, at the top lane. So they were receiving turret damage. EXO was so aggressive. Let's take a look at the replay. So the ult lands onto one guy. They burn a flash, right? And at this point, they're able to get Sunzi. At that point, I think they should have just backed out, because then you can get the top lane turret and back away. But you actually allow them to even out the trade, because Genvi just puts down a lot of damage onto both Hamis and Nixta, who's solo. Nixta's useless right now. He's just going to run away. And then EXO, I don't know if this was miscoms or something, but EXO probably thought that he could take out these two members. However, he doesn't really have his core items right now. She's still quite weak. So it really gave up what could have been a clean kill to turret trade.
Yeah.
So MSKI getting a bit excited, I think, with their lead.
They did not, exactly. They didn't respect the tentacles of Ilawi. Like, the HP back was keeping Cannon alive. And, yeah, MSKI do have the damage output. But then, paisa-isa sila pumasok, and, AEX could actually survive 1-by-1 damage output from MSKI.
Yeah.
And the problem was, at that point, we were talking about how important what it was for AEX to actually, dodge these CC skills of MSKI when they set up with the Leap of Faith as well as the bullet time.
Yeah.
Look at that clash. There was no ultimate that stopped either one of those two ultimates.
Yeah, exactly.
Diba?
Exactly. Kasi yun nga the thing about MSKI is, hindi dapat nila pilitin yung mga fights. I mean, if you can get...
There's the catch onto Hamis here. He uses the repel. Will fall into loving arms here of AEX, but does not time it perfectly. So that's going to be the 1-for-1 pick-off here. But here comes the collapse of MSKI. They try to go in, and EXO is in a 3v1 situation here where Zensha actually tried to help him out. The damage, force the flash away, actually executes. Calculated where he stands, flashing from Denso. There's the volley. Will they get the catch? The slow is still on. He follows up with the ice arrow, and gets a triple kill for Zensha there. AEX a little bit too comfortable with that one, and MSKI just punishing them straight off from that forced engage.
Yeah, I mean, look at EXO and Zensho. They were actually very close to the damage dealers of Empire X, but no one was locking them down. There's really a clear lack of CC coming in from Empire X, and sure, the damage is there. That's how they get away with certain kills. But if there's no one locking down champions like Cassiopeia and Ashe, that's exactly what those two champions want. Medyo immobile nga yung mga champion na to, pero kapag walang CC na magagamit yung kabilang team para ma-lockdown yung dalawang champion na to, they're just gonna go ham and, keep dealing damage, and that's exactly how these carries want to be able to play. And sadly, Empire X was not able to set up a nice wombo combo like they did at the top lane, where there's a nice bullet time, nice Leap of Faith. That's not what happened.
But the problem with that one is that it's the certain condition for them to actually replicate something like that would allow them to win against MSKI is that if MSKI overcommits again.
Exactly. And it's a bit scary for Empire X, because I'm thinking, how are they gonna start the fight? And the only parang yung naisip ko lang na possibility para makakuha sila ng lead or to be proactive is for them to catch MSKI off 1-by-1. But, MSKI is not exactly splitting apart right now. They've been moving as a whole unit. It's only been TG na nagsiseparate. Siya lang actually nagsisplit push talaga. Pero every other member, look at them, they're always grouped. And so it makes it hard for Empire X to find openings where they can take you out 1-by-1. Unless MSKI, like you said, unless they overcommit, or unless Empire X just sets up a really nice bait, it's a bit difficult for them to make any kind of move right now. It's 4-2 still on the turret score, but at least Empire X is kind of slowing things down. and making it a bit difficult for MSKI to continue to get objectives.
It's kind of funny since like, ano, di ba isang aquatic champion si Ilawi, they don't have proper bait
Yeah,
against MSKI.
yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
So Baron's still in the hands here of MSKI, so this will add up to the siege potential that they do have, and the damage of Empire X here is somewhat non-existent against these resistant up minions. Though they still do have a good poke if only they can hit it against MSKI. But of course, they still do have to fear MSKI have their own poke. Ultimate being used by EXO, not getting the catch onto anyone, but they don't have to overcommit. That one ultimate for EXO can still get followed up. EXO going in, gets the catch onto Sunzi there, but he did expend his own life for it. But that was a 2-for-1 trade. Sunzi as well as Tamsu have gone down, and in the bottom lane, there was TG pushing in, but he did use his ultimate to actually save the life, I believe, of Nixta, and they have opened up this top tier 3 going in for the inhibitor. There's a leap of faith, and look at the ton of damage that is just being dealt upon onto Zensho. Still, Cannon with that leap of faith actually exposing himself for a couple of seconds, and MSKI were able to just catch him off, and they got like what, 3 kills, 1 top tier 3 and 1 inhibitor. So they opened up the base, and minions will be coming in from that top lane.
Yeah, I feel like napakalaki ng loss for Empire X when they don't get Tamsu on an engaged champion, because gaya na nakita natin sa matches kahapon nung kinalaban ng Empire X yung G-Hub, you know, Tamsu was on champions like Zac and Gragas, and those champions, you know, can really engage, can lock someone down. Parang si Tamsu yung go signal ng Empire X eh. Siya yung nagdadala. You know, being the number 2 on the challenger rankings right now, and you know, he's able to really rally Empire X forward, you know, as like a legion moving forward. But when he's not on an engaged champion, you know, Empire X, no one seems to play other engaged champions, and it's making it very difficult for Empire X. Whoa!
What a pick there from the Ashe. Lots of damage on the Nixta, but here comes the ADC. Lots of slow. Good amounts of dash as well as leap here for AEX, so they'll be able to get that one pick off, but they are still heavily wounded here. They have to exit very quickly unless they want to make it a 2-for-1 trade. Gonna be in favor of MSKI, so MSKI, they're a little bit too slow with the follow-ups, but still, the damage is scary here from MSKI.
Yeah, I feel like that was a bit far-fetched. Parang sobrang baba ng success ng gank na yun. Kasi when Bard journeyed in, you know, no one was with him. So
feel ko parang kinilig dun yung MSKI na, tumama yung ultimate ko, guys, tara, pasok tayo kahit isa-isa.
Sobrang tempting eh. When you see someone like a bug wandering around in the jungle, like, you have to ult him, you know?
Yeah,
even if you're like 8,000 units away. I gotta do it. I gotta throw my ult. But MSKI have to be wiser with their cooldowns, kasi you want to be able to be most efficient when you throw these ults. Because every time MSKI throws an ult and it's not coordinated, it gives Empire X an opening, you know, to be able to catch up. But that's gonna be another Drake coming in for MSKI. That's 3 dragons already so far. Double Ocean Drake and 1 Clown Drake. So a lot of sustain.
I like how you say it Ocean and then not Cloud, Clown Drake.
Clown Drake. Double Ocean and then a Clown Drake. So nice sustain.
Next to actually using his ultimate, forcing Calculated to use his own Spirit Rush.
So that'll be quite useful, reducing the
mobility
pick-off and mobility potential. Let's see. They do have 1 inhibitor at top, and there's no one there except for Misfortune.
Here
and TG
is now the siege of MSKI. They are knocking on the mid lane here of AEX, and AEX are still, you know, how do you call this? Still on the cautious side here. They don't want MSKI to go over aggressive, but they don't want to go over aggressive against MSKI either, because MSKI again have this 11,000 gold lead, and Calculated gets thought up. Ultimate for actually missing, going in onto the other side. Hello there from Adele, but look at this damage coming in from MSKI once more. But though Cannon is ready and waiting with his tentacles, he is keeping this at least a favorable trade here for the side of Empire X, but he's gonna get that caught out by the true Arachnid. That's a Spire Queen. At least James going at a kill onto him, has a 3-for-1 exchange, and now this is a do or die for Tamsu as well as Calculated. They have to pull something out of their pockets or else forfeit this game 1, and that was a catch there for TG onto Calculated, but he does have his ultimate. Doesn't get him onto the well though, but still look at this. Zensho as well as James working onto the Nexus turrets. They are very low. 1 goes down, 1 is soon to follow, but MSKI are a little bit injured there. They don't have to overcommit, just go back. They got the top as well as the mid inhibitor. We just have to wait for a possible next Baron could be. No, yeah, 30 seconds.
Tignan natin ang napakasarap na KDA ng MSKI members. Yummy 8-1-14, Yummy 10-6. Grabe.
7-13.
You know, I hope IPT is watching right now because MSKI is looking pretty scary, you know, with compositions like this. I mean, sure, they're making mistakes here and there kasi like out of the one out of three ults from EXO have actually missed. Pero other than that, you know, MSKI is looking let's just say they're looking like they're all on the same page. You know, they're moving as a unit, they understand the strength of their team composition, and they're just going with their instincts. And honestly, it's looking very good right now.
True. Aside from that, I think like EXO when flashed in, I think his ultimate actually hit the left side rather than actually facing against Empire X. If I'm not mistaken, that was what happened, why it didn't hit any of the members of Empire X. So...
Medyo kinikilig nga talaga ang MSKI ngayon. Like, oh my god, 28 minutes and we have over a 10k gold lead, guys.
Yeah, they don't know that, but then they feel that they have
they feel it. I'm sure they feel it.
Yeah, they don't know the exact numbers, but of course, alam na natin guys, when you play, you know, League of Legends and it's this point na parang wala nang buga yung kalaban mo, ito na.
Yeah, I mean, Empire X is really lacking CC. They needed a backline threat or some engage against this Ashe or Cassiopeia. Pero yun nga, sa sobrang konti na CC, who's gonna stop them when they start to rampage in? You know that EXO knows that because
EXO almost gets popped, but he doesn't have his Guardian Angel for that extra security. Here Empire X are going for the last stand. Tamsu gets caught up with a beautiful cocoon as well as an arrow, but here comes a bullet time. Look at it, stopping by the tempered fate there of Nixta, and they are just gonna go in onto Genvi. Here he goes down. That is 3 members from the side of Empire X who have gone down, and Nixta actually being embraced by the Spirit Fire of the Ahri, but it does not matter anymore as they have gone down to the ace of MSKI, and here is MSKI walking down the path to victory, the path to that one Nexus streak, defending this Nexus, and they will get this game won unless there's like a revive, but you know what, it's not been here since, what, Season 2? Season 3?
Yeah, I mean, look at how fed EXO is.
Damn!
He was the first one to get caught. Siya pa yung naka-triple kill nun, ha? So, man, just insane snowballing from MSKI. GG, well played to them. 30 minutes and such a huge gold lead for them.
Attaboy.
Yeah, so man, just an insane game coming from MSKI. Empire X was not ready for that insane aggression. I mean, first MSKI pulls out the lane swap, then they pull out all these great CC chains that Empire X couldn't respond to, and they were doing it at a time that Empire X could not respond. Again, I mean, first of all, Canon fell behind in terms of CS, and looking at the KDAs, look at those dream KDAs. 8-2-17 for James, 13-6 for EXO, and 8-2% show. And good job from the team, you know, just being on the same page, moving as a unit, moving as a group. Great synergy coming in from them. I mean, sure, EXO misses a couple of ults, but overall, you know, they just did a lot of damage. Great job from Zensho and Cassiopeia, just dealing a lot of damage throughout the game. And Calculated actually dealt a lot of damage too. It's just he wasn't ever able to get the follow-up he needed from his team to really deal a significant damage throughout the game. So I think Empire X needs more engage. If it's not on Tamsu, you put it on someone. They need someone to lock down their other members, especially when you're facing a Cassiopeia and an Ashe. You need someone locking them down so that Kha'Zix, for example, and Miss Fortune can take them down easily with their burst.
So Empire X have to at least figure out how they're actually gonna engage against MSKI right now, because again, their game 1 composition did not have any real form of engage. They have pickoff, but then it's not the same with like a Malphite Stubble Force. Well, that's the best example I can think of. And yeah, they have to at least think of a champion that can do something like that for them.
Yeah, someone to support Kha'Zix was ideal. Really.
Oh, for sure.
He was having a hard time like bursting people down kasi wala nga CC na pang support sa
Aside from that, I think like Sunzi didn't actually go with Tamsu all throughout the game. And we were expecting, di ba nga, this was supposed to be the helping hand for Kha'Zix to actually get into the backline faster, get the in and out pickoff, and then just make it a 4v5 for Empire X, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, MSKI snowballed too hard for Empire X to show us what could have been the potential of their team, and I really think CC would have helped. So hopefully they improve their draft. Again, guys, if you want to support the team you think will win, Empire X still has a chance to make it to Rampage. All you have to do is just go over to the Pro Gaming Series Facebook page, check out how to vote, download the team that you think will make it over to... Yeah, sige, take it down.
Kanina
Download the cover photo of either MSKI or Empire X. Use it as your personal cover photo. Share it in public with the hashtags AEX win or MSKI win, and also the hashtag PGS Playoffs 2016.
Yeah, I was like, sobrang tagal ng hashtag ko.
Hashtag, AEX or MSKI win.
Alright guys, again, you're watching the Pro Gaming Series 2016 Summer Split. We are now on our day 2 of the playoffs, and this is, again, a make or break situation for both of these two teams. We'll be back. This is brought to you by your official sponsor, Baco's Energy Drink. Drive your energy. Again, I'm Asarai.
And I'm Amplifier.
Yeah, there you go. And so we'll be right back, guys. Ignite actually hitting onto Exo, but Exo very greedy, actually getting hit by the Ignite as well as the heal being actually